Right, today we're going to have a look at something called ChatSim. And we're going to be using this to have a look at this particular product. And this phone is called a Qbot. We think it's pronounced Qbot or Cubo. It comes in a box like this, very nice box. And it's called a Qbot X17. Now this phone has got alright specs actually. It's got a 16 megapixel camera around the back, 8 megapixel at the front. You've got a really nice 5-inch screen up the front there. I'm going to do a separate video about this particular handset. It's got 3 gig of RAM, it's got 16 gig of storage, and you also get a quad-core 1.3 gigahertz CPU on there, and it's only £100, which is not bad at all really. It's got a case on this particular one here, a bit of a see-through case. But I'm going to show you ChatSim. Now ChatSim is quite an interesting idea, I must admit. Maybe not for everybody, but for international travellers who want to keep in touch with people at home, I think it's quite a good idea. Now, we will have a look at this now. Okay, so what you basically do, you get the SIM card, as you normally do with any other service. Yeah, and this is a great idea for dual SIM handsets, or for those that do a lot of international traveling. Now, you do not get normal data. So if I was to turn off my Wi-Fi right now, and I was to try and browse the internet, it just would not work, because ChatSim is purely for instant messaging. You pay €10 a year, €10 a year that is for this, and you can see here I've got 3G and I'm roaming. It's a bit tricky to actually kind of work this one out, but you can see I can't get to Google, I can't do stuff like that, but I can chat via WhatsApp and also other instant messaging services too. So you can see here on their website, which you can go to chatsim.com to get this information. You can use all these chat messaging applications, BBM, WhatsApp, and you can see compatible chat apps. And this is all around the world for €10. So you can go to WhatsApp, Messenger, QQ International, WeChat, Line, Telegram, BBM, Hike, and Kakao as well. Obviously, I'm using WhatsApp, which is one of the most widely used instant messaging services here. It's all over the world, 250 operators in 150 countries. You can see the coverage there. So to test it out, I've got WhatsApp on here, and I've got WhatsApp on the Qbot phone over there, the X17. So we're going to give that a try now. Okay, so first a few bits of information. Now you do need to put in the ChatSim APN. And you can see here that this SIM is showing as roaming, and it's actually showing up as Jersey Telecom being the home network. So I've had to create a new APN and call it ChatSim, and it's easy enough. APN is ChatSim, name is ChatSim, and it depends on the plan, and it will change the APN depending on what plan you have, because I'll talk about plans in a moment, but you also need to set your roaming data to be on as well, which is something that a lot of people aren't used to allowing, because it usually puts the data cost up quite a bit. But you have to turn on data roaming there and make sure it's on. It also advises you to turn off background data for apps that might try and use the internet and then basically display loads of error messages. That's in the instructions, which are very simple on the ChatSim website when you get an account, which you will do when you activate your SIM and put it in, so we can get data. Now let's just see if we can get some chatting going on. Here, by the way, this is where you normally restrict background data, so you can restrict all the background data, and that stops all apps trying to get data. And then you can basically go into your app screen, and you can allow certain apps to access data and get around that. Or if you do have a phone which will allow it, you can enable the background data, because it will show you that constant error message. So to be honest, I would advise to just allow background data, which is something that ChatSim tells you to turn on. Basically tells you to ensure that background data isn't allowed, and then you can either stop the background data within each app and stop it updating automatically, and do it that way if you wish. But as I said, there's two different ways of using this service before we get into the nitty gritty. And if you go onto their website, you can see here it says the only decision you need to make is which multimedia plan. Now, the ChatSim plan costs €10 a year, and that includes text messaging through your favorite chat app and emojis anywhere in the world. So you can keep in touch anywhere in the world for €10 a year, which is very good. Obviously, if you've got a phone with 2 SIM cards in it, you can put the ChatSim SIM card in as a secondary SIM and use that purely for messaging, and you know that it won't cost you any more than €10 a year, which is great. Now, if you want to use multimedia, that is to share photos and videos over the chat system, over WhatsApp or whatever other chat instant messaging system you want to use, then you have to pay a bit more. So you pay another €10 for 2,000 credits, which should give you 200 photos or 40 minutes or 80-minute calls, or 40 videos, sorry, or 80 minutes of calls. €25 will give you 5,000 credits. That should get you 500 photos or 100 videos or 200 minutes of calls. So that's pretty good. You can do video calls, video sharing, or sort of photo sharing, which is good when you go abroad. You always want to share those photos back home, and you do it through the ChatSim SIM card, and that's how much it's going to cost you. So it's a slight additional rate if you want to use more than just messaging and sending little texts home through WhatsApp. So let's show you it in action. Now, I have got my background data enabled. So if I send a test message to the phone now, it should come up. So let's send a message, and you can hear it's pinged, and I should have, let me just check. Yes, I've got a message on here, and there it is. So I've been just sending tray, treat, and whatever. Now, okay, so there's my messages, and I'm going to send now a picture to my ChatSim test phone. Let's just send send, and we should see this come through over the data network. I'm just sending this out now. There we go, you can see a picture's appeared. I can download that. And vice versa, if you've got the right plan, the right ChatSim plan, you can share photos back home anywhere in the world, which is great. Now, what I'm going to do though is restrict that background data. So I'm going to go into the settings of this Kubot phone. You can see here the data connection's turned on, and I'm going to go into my full settings. I'm going to go into data usage and go into here. I'm going to restrict that background data, which it does actually advise you to do. But what you'll find if the background data is restricted, I'm going to send another test now. Okay, so that's been sent to the ChatSim phone here, and it doesn't appear. And because background data is not allowed, it means that this app cannot check for messages in the background. It's only when you activate the app that it will be able to get those results. So there you go. So it'll get those messages. So I would recommend to remove that background data restriction. But this is a quick overview of ChatSim. Go to their website, chatsim.com. I'll describe in a bit better detail on the actual website, but this is just to show you that it does indeed work. And I'm on 3G here. I can be anywhere in the world, and I can send and receive normal text messages and emojis for just €10 every year. The price does go up slightly if you want to send picture messages and videos and make calls, but to be honest, it's not a great deal. The only thing it doesn't do is normal internet data. So if you want to browse the site, browse websites, you can't do it through the ChatSim SIM. So I would advise getting a phone with 2 SIM cards, put the ChatSim SIM card in one slot, your normal SIM in the other slot, and then just use the ChatSim if you're abroad quite often, just for your instant messaging apps, and you will probably find that your costs go down quite substantially.